say, okay, I have a lot of money, but you have no money unless you take profits.
When the first ever spot ETF was created for gold 10x.
And the only thing I really knew was Bitcoin at the time, so I just invested very heavily into that. Rode it all the way up.
What's up?
My name is Jeff. Even the creators have said it's going to be the predecessor of CBDC.
What that taught me was that I need to be self-sufficient.
A solid DCA investment strategy, and pretend the red sell button doesn't even exist.
We about to go up like.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen.
What's going on, DJs? Welcome to the DJ Roundtable. We appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. We got some fire content on deck. We cannot wait to talk about a couple things with our special guest, Maddie ALLin. But before you guys do, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you guys leave a solid comment. Make sure you hit that notification bell. And the biggest thing that you guys can do is post this URL across all your social medias. Check down in the description. You guys will be able to find our Telegram link. Join up our Telegram, free 24-hour access to crypto content. That's what we got going on there. So with that being said, it is my pleasure to announce our special guest tonight. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Maddie ALLin. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
How's it going? I just shared this on my Twitter and Telegram groups. So
awesome. Good to hear, man. Good to hear. Also in the house, we got Brendan. What's going on, dude?
Not much, brother. It's been a while. You know, my schedule's been crazy, and I'm just happy to be here. Super stoked to talk to Maddie ALLin, you know, legend in his own right. And yeah, let's go.
I like it. Hey, Will, I see you're in the shipping container tonight. How's it going on your end?
Yeah, boy, Chips Ahoy. Shit's doing good over here, man. Ryan or Ramon Carrillo, I see you. I'm going to reach out to you. Hit me up in any of the chats down below in the description. But I'm doing good, bro. Texas life is great. Life's good.
Good to hear, man. Jeff, welcome back, buddy. Took a little bit of a hiatus there. Had some stuff to focus on with work, but you're back. How's life been?
Pretty good. Happy to be back. Happy to get back in touch with y'all. Not that I was ever out of touch, but I'm happy to be more involved and really happy to have Maddie on the show.
Absolutely, man. We're looking forward to it. Nate, what's going on, dude? How's the work going?
Hey, just having a good old time, right? I just got done setting up my stream and everything, so we're gonna be doing some fun stuff there. But yeah, no, I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited for the man who created time, and yeah, for a great time, guys.
I like it. All right, Maddie, let's go ahead and rock and roll with a little bit of conversation here. We all know you on the panel. We've been watching your content for a while, so it's definitely an honor to have you on the show. We do have some new folks in our community that are going to be watching this. Either they're watching it live or they're going to catch it on replay. If you wouldn't mind just giving a little introduction, how you found the crypto space and all the successful projects and all the content creation that you've been doing.
yeah, cool. Well, I always knew really smart people who liked Bitcoin. And so eventually I started listening to them. Maybe that was 7 or 8 years ago now. And that was around the time that Bitcoin passed the price of gold. And so I was like, what? It's more expensive to have 1 Bitcoin than 1 ounce of gold. So that was back in the 2017 run, and pretty much made it my full-time hobby. And then Hex came along, and that really took things to the next level, to the point where there's this organic community that feels a lot, I think, like Bitcoin did in its early days. And so now I spend a lot of my time organizing all these types of things that go along with true DeFi. So that's kind of the short version.
That's awesome, man. So I guess let's go ahead and get into the first topic. Time Pays Me came out pretty recently. Was it launched in September? Is that correct?
July 4th.
July 4th. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was going back through your Twitter to try to find out exactly when it went live, but you had a bunch of live posts, so I couldn't remember exactly when that was. But, July 4th. That's awesome. what led you to come up with such an awesome concept like that?
Well, I mean, if you look at any asset, whether it's legacy stocks or whether it's crypto, it's the people who leave it alone. They buy something in quality and then they don't keep trading back and forth every day. Those are the people who do the best, it seems. Like there was a study with, I think it was Fidelity, that found that the best portfolio out of anybody in the world, it was always the people who had died because they weren't around to like trade. So, so this idea of buying and holding, it's not new, but in crypto, there's a lot of degen behavior. You guys might be more aware than I am, but yeah. So this idea of buying and holding got a little bit sweeter when it came to Hex, because Hex pays you trustless yield, and so that's basically the idea there. It gets a lot more complicated, but that's the simple version of Hex. Is it's rewarding you to change your behavior and to prove on the blockchain that you're not going to sell for a certain amount of time. Like the longer you lock, the more you get paid. I call it paying your future self when you make a long-term investment that you stick by. So Time Pays Me was my solution to be able to have strong hands with Pulse and PulseX and Ethereum, the other things that I think are going to do really well in the coming years. And so Time Pays Me is a smart contract that allows you to pay your future self by time locking coins. This, unlike Hex, does not pay any interest. It doesn't pay any yield, but that's okay because the reward is usually in price appreciation, right? The price of Hex has to do better because of the inflation that's paid to the people who hold. But in Ethereum, you've got something very deflationary on your hands ever since EIP 1559, September 15th of last year. So Ethereum's never been in a bull market and been deflationary at the same time. But now we're about to get into that probably that situation. So people who, like me, would want to sell on a 2x or sell on a 5x or sell on a 10x would never get to see the kind of gains that I saw with Hex, where I was up 100x or 1000x. So that's the idea. That's one of the functions of Time Pays Me.
That sounds really nice, actually, because based on what I'm hearing there, you lock up the Hex, right? So my question is then, what incentivizes a person to actually lock it up? I mean, what if they start getting kind of worried about, hey, maybe, I need to pull it out at some time, right?
Yeah, I mean, so for me personally, I time locked half of my Pulse for a year. And then I time locked 10%, I think, for 10 years of Pulse and PulseX. And then I time locked 1% for 55 years. And that upsets some people. Other people just get a chuckle out of it. But the bottom line is I still have plenty liquid to where if it doubles, boom, I'm right back to my 100%. In my own mental gymnastics. But the idea there is that I'm saving for the future. And do I want to be able to sell if it goes up 10x? No, I don't want to sell my whole bag if it goes up 10x. I want to see higher gains. Crypto is the greatest appreciating asset in the history of man, in the history of humanity. So yeah, I'm bowing down to the power of crypto and the fact that human brains weren't really designed to handle a 10,000x or 1 millionx that you get in Bitcoin.
So Maddie, quick question on that. For a lot of, obviously a lot of people that watch our channel are big fans of crypto and really believe in it. But if someone's new to crypto or not around crypto, they say, well, sure, it's the best appreciating asset of all time. but that's in the past. Can it still be the best appreciating asset in the future, in the next bull market, in the next 2 bull markets, the next 3 bull markets? How would you coach those type of people, or how would you coach people that are even new to crypto into expecting an opportunity to be self-sufficient, self-sovereign in the future?
If we already knew it for sure, then there would be no. So we don't know, and what makes it risky. That's part of what makes it so much of an outsized reward as well. You know, you can only go down 100%, but you can go up more than 100%. So people should only put in money that they're willing to lose. As silly as that sounds, there are no guarantees in any of this.
Yeah, I agree 100%. You know, we don't talk about financial advice on this channel. It's just, you know, financial entertainment. But for me,
right,
one of the big things for sure is, you know, don't over risk yourself. If you're going to need that money at some point in the next few months, maybe even few years, then maybe you shouldn't be putting that into crypto. You need to be very, very diversified into what you use it for. But I also say that with great risk comes potentially great reward. Now, you have to also understand with risk comes the possibility of going to zero. But the higher the risk, the higher the potential reward. So if you want to have an opportunity to make money at a point where you can become self-sufficient, where you might be able to take care of yourself and your family in the future without working a 9-to-5, or maybe still working 9-to-5, but at least having some money on the side, you know, to travel or do what you want with, then sometimes you have to get a little risky, but you have to be able to manage what your risk tolerance is. And some of that comes with age, and some of that comes with experience as well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it depends on the individual, and yeah. So if we're not giving investment advice, like, it's, you know, most people don't know that crypto is the highest appreciating asset. Most people don't know that that you can get these mad gains. So the more educated people can be, the more they can push the buttons themselves and take responsibility themselves.
Well, that's something that's really important about the Hex community in general, or at least what I've been kind of noticing about everyone, is there's an emphasis on learning about crypto, you know, and best practices. Unfortunately, we don't 100% get those people, but there's going to be degens everywhere. But yeah, this is something that I especially like about the Hexagon community, and that how we do all try and reach out and help each other.
Yeah, I mean, that's how Bitcoin used to be, where it was like, understand what these 12 words do, like understand elliptical curve cryptography, right? But now, how many people know that? Probably not that many. So there's a lot of cool stuff to learn on the tech side of things, even though that's like a meme. There are actually people who are interested in the technology. There are people who actually don't have banks. There are people who, there's, you know, all kinds of reasons to use crypto.
Jeff, you got something, bud?
I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but the whole point behind Time Pays Me kind of revolves around one of Richard Hart's like core aspects of how to get rich in crypto. He always says, if you want to be rich in crypto, there's 2 ways to do it: to be a founder and to be a holder. So, I mean, if you can't be a founder, the other best way is to be a holder. And I kind of feel that's the entire theme or point of why you created this. That, and to save you from yourself to make a bad decision of not being a holder anymore.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. You nailed it. That's exactly why it was created. Yes. Saving yourself from yourself. That's something a lot of people got to see play out in Hex. Not everybody in crypto has held on to something that went up so much, because you do have so much volatility. You know, Hex went in the first, before Hex did a 10,000x, which I witnessed the entire all-time low and all-time high. You know, before it even did its all-time high, it went down 7 times, 80%. So you had to hold through some terrifying times. And for a lot of people, the way that they did that is that they time locked with the smart contract, with the Hex smart contract, and that paid them yield. And it also stopped them from selling everything, because you don't have to lock up everything in Hex. You can lock up some. And for me and a lot of other people, we made yearly staking ladders. So we split up, our funds. And so for me, I have a Hex stake coming out every year on my birthday. And I also have a smaller one coming out every year on Bitcoin's birthday.
That's funny because I have my stakes are on my birthday. That's how I do it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I like celebrate and stake. That's how I know. That's exactly how I remember. But
My
it's kind
birthday,
of
2024 is my first stake to ever come out.
Nice.
Maddie, have you seen the meme with the from way back in the day, the Bitcoin guy who was like, man, I wish I wouldn't have sold it at $5. Now it's at $12. You know what I'm talking about?
I talked to that dude. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Greg Schoen, he purchased 1,700 Bitcoin at I guess it was 6 cents each, and then he sold on a 5x. So he spent $100 and he made $400. Okay, and that's all. And he still works as software. He still works for the man. He still works a regular low-paying like software job, and it's because he didn't even hold on to one Bitcoin. And then when it kept going up, he made that tweet. That's the most viral Bitcoin tweet of like somebody not holding. Basically, the idea is you're still early, because he made that tweet when Bitcoin hit $8. It was up 100x from where he bought it. So he was thinking to himself that he missed. But then he missed it at $8. He missed it at $100. He missed it at $1,000. And then it went to $69,000. And he was selling NFTs of his tweet on Ethereum because he didn't have any money in the last bull run.
Eventually you got. Oh, I'm sorry.
and like I did the math. If Greg had, if he had time locked that Bitcoin to where he sold an even amount every month for 15 years, he would be like 2/3 through. Well, a little bit farther. So he would still have a third of his Bitcoin, and that would be worth almost $10 million. And the amount that he had DCA'd out would also be worth about $10 million. So Greg, could have turned $100 into life-changing wealth if he had held on for more than a year.
If he had something like Time Pays Me.
Oh yeah.
God, that's why we were talking about this earlier about, people who want to DCA and DCA out. Just if you want to DCA out, not financial advice, just at least keep some. Like, even if you take a good chunk out, just like keep some at least, just in case.
Yep.
Now, Maddie,
go ahead, Brandon.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just what I was going to say. Of course, nothing on this channel is financial advice. It's all financial entertainment. So anything we're talking about, obviously for entertainment purposes. I want to focus on what you said a little while back. You said the lowest you can do is 100% down, but the upside is pretty much there's no ceiling on the upside that you can get in cryptocurrency, and I think that's definitely an awesome point to make. But if you sell at the 5x, you're not going to be around at the 10x. And if you sell at the 10x, then you're not going to be around at the 20x and so on. And I think that that's something that's so important, especially about something like Time Pays Me. Now, when it comes to Time Pays Me, is that just in the Pulse Chain ecosystem, or can you lock up stuff in the Ethereum side, in the Phantom side? Can you talk a little bit about that?
It works on ETH and on Pulse Chain.
Okay. Do you have any plans to?
It's like token agnostic. So pretty much any token that works with Ethereum or that works with Pulse Chain, we can add it to the front end. At some point, you would imagine that we would make it so that people can add whatever they want themselves. But for now, we just we have it kind of by request. And so so that's kind of what gets people, to be able to lock up these brand new coins or things that people haven't locked up before. And so that's pretty cool. As far as other chains go, like I don't really care about other chains.
Same.
Touche. Brendan, what were you gonna say, bud?
No, I was going to say, Maddie, very early on, you said that you were kind of really interested in true DeFi. And, one of the previous chairs of the SEC recently said that he doesn't think Ethereum's a security because it's sufficiently decentralized. And so if Ethereum is sufficiently decentralized,
it became
correct
decentralized. It was. This is Hinman you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. And so, what other things do you find out there that are really like what is true DeFi to you? And PulseX and Hex just went through a big change in their front end, allows people to run it on their own computers, run their own programs, run their own front ends. Is that true DeFi, or is there more to it?
I think DeFi is something that is not just a promise coin. We saw a lot of that back in 2017, 2021, like people promising things. So having a finished product or having something where there's lots of people working on things. The best example of decentralization these days, I would say, is if there's more than one front end for something. Or other than just holding your own keys and all that good kind of stuff. So I guess there's different aspects to it. I think decentralization when it comes to like fake DAO governance BS, like that's a good example of how DeFi doesn't work. Like you don't want some things to be completely decentralized, like if you're making decisions or you're like governing something. But in terms of front ends, tons of crypto, like tell me how many cryptos really are in the top 25 that the majority of their volume is not on centralized exchanges, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, right? These trade on centralized exchanges. That's not the point of crypto. The point of crypto is to have a decentralized exchange, but that was only invented in 2018, 2019. So the amount of technology that's growing and getting better and getting more complicated is definitely allowing crypto to be more of what I think it always seemed like it wanted to be when it comes to like the cyberpunk movement and this stuff, cryptography that's been worked on for many decades.
So when talking about DeFi, then it seems to me like there's always been a battle in the crypto space between centralization and decentralization. Obviously, crypto originally was created to be decentralized. However, for crypto to truly, succeed, right, you need the centralization of, safety and able to actually bring people in. So there's a lot of people arguing between centralization, decentralization, and I'm just kind of wondering about your opinion on this, because obviously if you have centralization, it becomes its own financial system for the world, quite literally. Whereas if it's only all decentralized, then it's no longer like a currency for the entire world, right? It's no longer something that people will use. Only a rare few people will use. And so it'll stay small almost permanently. Kind of what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, so in economics, we know that there are like 4 functions of money, and primarily money can be a store of value, a medium of exchange, a unit of account, etc. So there's a difference between something that has more of the functions or more of the utility of a store of value versus a medium of exchange. And so that's something that economists look at to try to define what is cryptocurrency, what is money, etc. There's some good Bitcoin shows that like go into that topic pretty deeply. But yeah, I think like money is very much, it's a story that we tell ourselves, and that allows the functions to happen of people exchanging value, storing value, that sort of thing. And even if you look back to like the early days of money, I mean, that was the first thing that was ever recorded in human history. It was like financial transactions and that sort of stuff. You know, and this idea that we're yeah, the money's a valuable thing because it solves the coincidence of wants and other kind of stuff like that. So I mean, if you know, if people are interested in that kind of stuff, like Safety has a lot of really good courses that will teach you like a graduate level education on the history of money and how Bitcoin fits into that.
Panel, we got any more questions before we transition?
We're really about to transition.
Well, look, I wish this story ended there with Time Pays Me, but we invented something else other than being able to send money to your future self, other than Hex.
What's that?
Being able to undo a hack.
There you go. There you go. Talk a little bit
Now,
about it.
That sounds like a pretty outrageous claim. If you're like a technical ETH bro, then like you're probably not believing me right now. But to prove that we in fact have a way to be able to undo a hack, I took 10,000 of my own dollars. I split it between Ethereum and Pulse Chain, and I published the seed words to that account. And I've got that pinned on my Twitter here, but it's like the 12 words, and you can prove to yourself that that I really did that, and that even though I was very public about it, and thousands of people got to see some of the streams that I did. It was during one of our 48-hour streams. I think that was the Austin one that we did back in May or something. May, August, somewhere around there.
Can you walk us through the process of how this new thing works?
Sure. So we got an audit. Basically, it took about a year and a half to develop. There's a test net for it and everything. Basically, the way that the undo a hack feature works is it only works if you set up a second seed phrase, and it's a smart contract that allows you to time lock. The way that it does that is that you're programming it to set specific rules, programmable rules on the funds that you're locking. But that all happens within a vault, which is a separate ETH address. So when you go to Time Pays Me, you create a vault, and whether you're on Ethereum or Pulse Chain, you're going to pay a gas fee to like create the vault, and then that gives you an address that is controlled by the primary address, the address that you started with. You put funds into the vault, and now in order for those funds to move, you have to wait 7 days. You have to do a withdraw request. Okay. So that's a critical part of undoing a hack, is having a time delay, like a bank with a bank vault that's on a timer, right? So you have a 7-day time delay, and you have a second seed phrase. So when you set up your second seed phrase, you're getting on your hardware wallet, and you're using a separate device or a separate MetaMask from your primary account where you created the vault. Now that you're working with your second seed phrase, you are going to validate that public address and plug it into the smart contract. And so it's going to show that you have permission to be the recovery address. And yeah, and so when so basically you get to a point where you've set this up. You've got your primary address with the vault, and it controls the vault. And then you've got your recovery address that does not control the vault yet, but it can. if you detect that somebody is making a withdraw and it's not you, that has to be, so if somebody has your seed phrase and you don't know it, they'll show themselves by trying to withdraw money. That's the whole point of them having it, is to be able to try to steal your money. Well, they have to make a transaction on the blockchain in order to do the withdraw request from the vault. And so if you notice that somebody, if there's alerts you can set up and everything on Ethereum, it's pretty easy to know if somebody's messing around with your account. But if somebody's hacked you, it's too late, because they have a bot and they're moving all the funds, and you don't even get like one block on the blockchain. You don't even have 10 seconds to react. Well, with Time Pays Me, the funds can't move for 7 days. So you have 7 days from the time the hacker makes the withdraw request to go in and change ownership from the primary address to the recovery address. And now all of your time locks are right where they're supposed to be. All of your liquid funds in the vault are right where they're supposed to be. And you have the same but now you've used your one life. And so that you don't get any more lives after that. If your second seed phrase gets compromised, then too bad. You can't undo that hack. So if you, like with the example wallet where I put up $10,000 and read out my seed words, I migrated those funds once I recovered them, because I wanted to have the benefit of an extra life, right? So I just migrated it. I sent it to a third wallet that then set up a new Time Pays Me vault. So so that's basically how undo a hack works. I know it kind of sounds complicated, but again, like, just the idea is we have programmable money, and if I'm already trying to teach people that they don't have to trade every second of every day, we might as well have have a method so that people can detect if some look. If you really know what you're doing in crypto, you're pressing the button on your Trezor, and sometimes you don't really understand what it's saying. You can get hacked even using a hardware wallet. Like, it happens to people. If you aren't using a hardware wallet, of course it's better. Or like if you are, it's easier to get hacked if you aren't using a hardware wallet. But even if you are using a hardware wallet, it doesn't fully protect you. So if you're somebody who has like thousands and thousands of dollars, or like millions of dollars or billions of dollars, you want to be using something like Time Pays Me, because it's gonna add an extra life to your crypto experience.
That's a great idea, by the way.
Thank you.
I kind of feel like you came up with this idea because you've had enough experience in the crypto space where you've seen this happen over and over and over again. And you're probably thinking, is there any way that we could like add a little extra something onto here?
Yeah, exactly. People in the Hex community have time locked, and they're time locked for 15 years. So if their security sucked, then they've got to worry for 15 years. So with Time Pays Me, we designed it so like the 21-year-old could make a 55-year time lock, and then that's like the average age of how old people live. So like, the point isn't to lock for 200 years, but the point is, like, if you're young, like, you want to get paid every week for the rest of your life, then you can time lock for that amount of time, and then it drips back to you over time. Or you can make a hard lock, and then it all comes out at the same time. But this idea of having like, it's like having a continuous staking ladder, to where you all of a sudden you have a weekly paycheck from crypto, and you decide whether you want it to be over a year's time frame, and then the check is a little bit bigger every week, or you want to do it for 20 years like a 401k, and the check is a little bit smaller unless crypto goes up a lot, and then it's just big forever.
You know what I find funny is while you were talking about that, not 200 years, I was like, you know what, that actually, That reminds me of like a pirate's treasure chest or something. Imagine this is like the digital treasure chest. Lock it up for 200 years and let your
Oh
descendants
yeah.
find it.
Well, we of course we didn't get carried away, but we programmed in some extra goodies into Time Pays Me for like you know, yeah, if you want to like if you want to set up somebody's inheritance or something, you can say so there's something called a dead man switch where like if so like let's say I'm like really good at security and like I'm just creating a separate wallet with a hardware device and everything that's like, okay, I'm not going to trade on that account. It's just like that's for inheritance. So, so if I'm not clicking buttons all the time, maybe instead of me having like an extra life programmed in, maybe I give the key to the recovery address to like you know, somebody like somebody I'm trying to give my inheritance to. And then basically, see, but then you got to make sure you got to get the game theory right on this stuff. Otherwise your relatives will kill you. Right. So, so the way that it works is, the longest lock that you make in the primary account, a year after that, the recovery address can get access to the funds. So, so I could like, you know, I could time lock for 10 years. And then, if I die in 5 years, then like 6 years after I die, the recovery address gets access to the funds, which is way better than a multi-sig where you're giving somebody permission to spend the funds today. Why do I need to give people permission today to spend the funds? Why, you know, what am I supposed to do? Give my lawyer the 12 words that I want to be inherited? No, this is way more secure than that, in my opinion.
But I've got a follow-up question for you there, Maddie. You were talking earlier about people who made hex stakes before realizing like the security of wallets and stuff. Is it possible to take, so like say there's a hexagon out there now who like learned about hex X, Y, and Z amount of time ago, and they staked out all their hex, but they did it on like a hot wallet or on a wallet that then got compromised. Is this a sort of kind of like a second layer of protection that they can add to the wallet, or is this something that they have to add assets into? Do you kind of understand what I'm saying? Like, is it possible for people to protect?
You got to do it proactively.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Excellent.
Yeah. It doesn't help you with old hex stakes.
Gotcha.
And Maddie, if you die after 5 years and they can't get it for 6 more years, all you're doing is paying them more in the future because time pays.
You would think, yeah, 4-year cycle, baby.
In theory, right? In theory.
I mean, unless it's something, unless it's a Dentacoin or something.
World coin.
Yeah. I mean, not everything goes up forever, but some things do.
So Maddie, do you have developing skill? Do you have like code writing skill? Is that your forte along with psychology and Hex meetups and other things of that nature?
No, I have a brilliant developer that I work with who does the programming, and he and I both come together on the game theory design, which is that's the hardest part. You would say is making it so that there's no flaw in the logic, there's no exploit, that kind of stuff. Yeah. You don't want a re-entrancy bug to ruin like the entire Ethereum blockchain like it did in Ethereum's early days. But I mean, it's like, you know, your blockchain is really, 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 really hard. It's far harder than like being a programmer for Apple or Microsoft or Google or something, because there's like billions of dollars on the line, and there's people who are very motivated to like steal that. So that's why you want to deal with stuff that has audits and you know, that kind of stuff.
I like it,
Matt,
Jeff. Jeff, yeah, let me kick it over to you for another question or two, and then we're going to go ahead and transition.
I wanted to ask, as far as the vault goes, how I know you said you have 7 days. Will I get some kind of alert that somebody has entered the seat? Like, how will I know something's going on, or do I have to manually check every day, or what is it like? What's the layer of security there? Is there a way to know like if somebody else has entered your seed phrase or something?
I didn't want the liability of people thinking that it's my job to look at their wallet. And so you know, even if I have your phone number and your email address, there's a middleman who's going to decide if I'm spamming you, and it has nothing to do with me and you deciding that we want to communicate. And so there isn't really a good way for me to tell you that you're being hacked. So it is up to you. If I was somebody who was on Ethereum and I wanted to know if somebody was hacking my main stack in Time Pays Me, I would go, I would, on my phone, I would download Proton Mail. I would set up a new address. I would allow my phone to notify the shit out of me with that one app and that one email address. And I would never use that email address for anything else other than etherscan.io. And I would sign up. I would create an account on there, and I would tell Etherscan to notify me anytime that there's any send or receive or any activity on this address that I'm using for the vault address or the primary address. And then when I'm in those addresses screwing around, then my phone's going to blow up and I'm going to be like, okay, cool, it works. And then when somebody else is sending me money or trying to send my money out, then my phone is also going to blow up for that, which is what I would want. And then I have plenty of time to, and I mean, so let's say you want to travel the world and you don't want to carry your primary seed phrase around with you, and you don't really want to carry around your second seed phrase, because it's like, well, if somebody kidnaps you, then they have everything they need to just wait and still steal all your crypto. So we invented just this really nice way to where you can travel around with a signature that your primary address can generate ahead of time. Like when you set up all the vaults, you can, and I've got a tutorial on X that breaks it down really simply how to do Time Pays Me. But you get your recovery signature, and then now I can travel with that. And from any MetaMask, any address can pay the blockchain to put your primary address vault into panic mode and give ownership to the second address without having access to the primary or secondary address. So you can use a completely unrelated wallet, your friend's wallet, anybody can put the vault into panic if you're in another country and somebody's hacked you. They found your first seed phrase, and now they don't have your second seed phrase, but you can use just a $5 transaction on ETH to save the day.
Okay, cool. I like that. I kind of like the whole idea of not being responsible to alert people, because one, then like you said, if say the email provider spam attack, something like that, then you're liable for saying we would alert you, and then some other middleman gets in the way. But another thing I was curious about was I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, in 54 years, yeah, you don't want my 92-year-old ass to be in charge of notifying you.
Fair enough. And I'm sure technology by that time will have evolved. But I heard you speak about the whole drip mechanic. Is there a certain percentage based off of that, or?
So it's the percent of time you serve is the percent that you can withdraw on a weekly basis. So let's say that let's say I've time locked for a year and I've served a week. Well, 1 week is about 2% of a year. So then I can withdraw 2%, or I can just leave it. And then, however much time has passed, if If I serve half the year, I can withdraw half the funds. Now, if I time lock for 10 years, it's 0.2% because it's 10 times longer. So I'd get a tenth of what I would be getting on a weekly basis. So it's just up to you. And we kept it that simple to where you can't do other like weird, you can't get more one week unless the other, unless you wait. Basically, it's a linear unlock is one way to think of it.
Good stuff.
And
Thanks.
so each one of these drip feeds is a like gas powered transaction on either Ethereum or on Pulse chain, correct?
Yes.
All right, cool beans. So for those of you guys doing this on Ethereum, just keep that in mind. If you happen to be in the bull run and Ethereum's going crazy, gas fees. I looked up the just for everyone in the audience who's not tried Time Pays Me before. I'm on the website right now. It's timepays.me, and it's pretty freaking cool. It works on both Pulse chain and on Ethereum. I don't recommend setting up a vault on Ethereum right now. It's like $20 in gas fees. There's like 62 Pulse on Pulse chain. So just as a for those of you paying attention to the Gwei and the hearts right now, that's roughly what the numbers look like. So just point of interest. That's all I wanted to chime in about.
Totally.
All right. If anybody in the audience has any more questions, if they're interested in Time Pays Me, check on the bottom of the channel right here. You'll see the scrolling banner. You will find all of Maddie's links right there. Just make sure you guys search that, and you guys will get all the information that you need. Before we transition, make sure you guys smash the like. Make sure you guys comment, subscribe, and share the link across all the URLs that you have. Across all social media. Share that URL across all social medias. Join the Telegram for 24-hour crypto content. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and transition. So January 6th to the 9th, you got the 4th annual Hex Conference, Conference 2024 coming up. Last year you had I believe it was over 80 speakers that showed up. You had Crypto Coffee, you had Crispy, you had Johnny Chaos, Wild SJ, DCC, Toby Wan, and of course you had Richard Hart there last year. What are some things that we can expect for the upcoming 4th annual HexCon?
So I mean, this year it's going to be better than ever, I think. And I've been putting lots of time into it. Last year I was like in a horrible car accident right before the conference, and so it still went super well. And the idea of the Hex Conference is it's every year. It's January 6th through 9th. It's a 4-day event. Happens during like American prime time of about 6 p.m. Central Time to midnight. And so it's 6 hours of 1-hour segments. You have keynote speakers. You have 4-person and 9-person panels. And so it really showcases all of the different YouTubers and personalities in the Hex community. It's a great experience for people who maybe are new. They want to catch up. They want to see the variety of different speakers, and people who are just only paying attention from time to time tend to tune in. I know, last year we had over 100, right at about 100,000 views on my channel, and then Richard's channel got another 40 or 50 or 60,000. And it was a really good time.
How has the transition been from year 1 to now coming into year 4? I mean, there has to be a substantial difference over the last 3 years. Can you talk a little bit about the growth of the Hex Conference in and of itself?
Yeah, I mean, it was, the first one was good, but people keep saying I keep getting better at putting them on. I've done, in the past year, I did 2 48-hour conferences, plus the normal ones, which was the online Hex Conference and the online Pulse Conference. So this year is going to be better than ever. There are like 2 major announcements coming in the next couple weeks about the Hex Conference. For now, we know that we're about 6 weeks away. Now is the time to sign up as a speaker. You can go to hexconference.com to do that. And the theme this year is we have the most YouTubers in crypto.
I like it. That's true. And I mean, the number keeps going up. I can tell you that for certain. I know that that's the case. That's awesome. Panel, you guys got anything Hex Conference wise?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, the first thing I'll say is, well, we invest in other things. We are all deeply invested in the Richard Hart ecosystem. I mean, that's one of the things that brought us together at this show and this panel. And, you know, you tend to get drawn towards people that think alike. But also, for me, I'm drawn towards people that challenge me to be a better person, challenge me to better myself, challenge me to increase my knowledge about, be it crypto, be it religion, be it economics, whatever the case may be. You know, every one of the guys that are part of the DGen Roundtable, the reason I started talking, the reason we started having little video calls every Friday before we started streaming is to hold each other accountable, to be ready for the Pulse Chain launch, to be ready for PulseX, to be ready for everything that might happen. And so we're very invested in this ecosystem. It's not just enough to be invested. You have to find people that also challenge you and also want to make you a better person. So for me personally, there's a lot to it, but I'm super excited. I haven't been a part of the any of the Hex conferences previously, and better believe that I'm going to be tied to my screen every minute of it this time. Very excited.
You know,
Awesome. Well, I hope we can get you on screen too.
I mean, you know, it's
all
one
the
of the
guys.
things I do. I mean, I speak for a living, for work. So
We're gonna talk. Don't worry. We're gonna talk, Maddie. We're definitely gonna talk.
Awesome.
Don't worry. For sure. Who was speaking? Nate, what did you have there, bud?
Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to kind of point out is it's not necessarily only about just getting challenged as well, but it's also the accountability, right? And that was one of the things that when we were talking all together in our little group was we were constantly like, hey, are you actually like following through with, you know, this whole plan of yours? And then that's when we would come around to like that, well, you know, I think I'm changing it up. I think I'm gonna do this instead. And then that's when we all would start like talking like, maybe you don't want to do that necessarily. That was all that I had to add on to what Brendan was saying, but it's also about the accountability. Find brothers that are going to hold you accountable for what it is that you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Or sisters.
Find a tribe. Find a tribe.
That's right.
One thing, it's not really having a whole lot to do with the Hex conference, Maddie, but a lot to do with some of the other things that I see that you put together. Well, I guess it sort of has to do with the conference, but the real life stuff. Do you organize real life Hex meetups as well? I've seen some of that stuff posted in like some of your chats, and you know, as I'm scrolling through your all my links and stuff, looking around, do you also do like real life IRL meetups?
Yeah, for sure. I've done a few. I have the title of the largest Hex meetup of all time. We had 555 people buy tickets and show up to the Hex conference in Las Vegas. That was the biggest event that I've put on. I did the first Hex meetup, which was 369 people, and yeah, then some smaller stuff too. More recently, I like to mix it up, and it takes a lot more time than even doing the online stuff to do the in-person. Like the in-person is 5 times harder. So during the bear market, I try to do less, try to do smaller stuff, and then during the bull, you know, we might go bigger. But
5,555 is that the next goal?
no, just 555.
No. What's the next goal?
Oh, the next goal.
5,555.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I've gone to the Bitcoin conference the last 2 years in Miami, and yeah, I mean, they have great numbers there, but Bitcoin's numbers are falling if you look at their views. And so they have these huge subscriber counts, but the people who actually still care are really low as a ratio of how many people have subscribed. And that's to me a sign that broadcaster, or maybe they are an influencer, that they didn't really treat their audience well, or that the audience didn't have the best experience with crypto. Most people who get into crypto buy a top and then they have to hold on for dear life for like 4 years. But in Hex, we see that when people subscribe, then they time lock and they stick around for years, and they keep showing up whether it's a bear market or not. And that's really interesting to me as a crypto a self-proclaimed crypto psychologist.
I've noticed that on the Bitcoin channels. You'll see a lot of channels with high followers, but the views are much lower than the amount of followers. That's actually something I've noticed. Honestly, I was looking at that probably like 6 months ago, and I feel like it's steadily been dropping down.
Yeah. And then, you know, for me, I've done a weekly live stream every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 157 weeks without missing a single time. So people they're tuning in, and we have, you know, for my channel that only has 13,000 subscribers, we're typically getting really 3,000 to 6,000 views each Tuesday night alone, just on YouTube. And then that doesn't count Twitter now too. So so you can see. And then, yeah, for the conferences, I think the lowest day last year was 10K or something. So, and these aren't TikTok views. It's not like a 15-second view. The average view time for these Hex streams on my channel is about 20 to 30 minutes, which means that when it's counting the people who are watching for 15 seconds on YouTube, that the average is 30 minutes, which means in reality, there's this huge group of people that's watching every minute. Like I do. I love watching Hex content and all the personalities, and it's it works out because then I help put people together on the Hex conference that I know have, you know, good personality matches and stuff. And so, yeah, it's really fun for me to be like one of the biggest consumers of everybody in the entire space in terms of, you know, listening to their YouTube on 2X all the time.
So when it comes to putting together something like Hex Conference or the 48-hour live streams that you do, the Austin, you know, the Austin meetup that you did and all that stuff, do you have a team, you know, or is it all you setting everything up? I mean, you have to have some help, I would have to imagine. You know, do you have a team? What's that deal?
I do a lot of it myself, and then I lean on like certain methods I've come up with to make things more efficient, and the just the people that are speaking are people who already know what they're doing to some extent. But yeah, I tried like having more teamwork, and then people started like embezzling money and like created another conference that like stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from the community. So like, you know, I tried that. And so now I know what works is me organizing things in a way that's like extremely efficient, and then having, you know, my main person that I know I can rely on goes by the handle Sticker Guy Win. And you'll know this guy because well, he almost got canceled on his first day being known in the Hex community, because Richard was doing all these meetups in Europe, and he like I guess like didn't own any Hex and like showed up with a notepad and was just like asking all these questions for like 45 minutes, and everybody else was like trying to like, I don't know, ask Richard questions that they'd already asked, but Sticker Guy was asking new questions and was questioning everything Richard said and everything. And so I realized immediately the Sticker Guy was like a super interesting and cool dude. So I like recruited him, you know, to help be basically the guy who works with people backstage at the Hex conference to get your lighting right, to make it so that we can hear you, and make sure everybody's using a green screen and a a standard backdrop. And so, it wouldn't be possible for me to have 100 people speaking at the 2022 Hex conference, or however many it was this last year, without having him as somebody who can help prepare people to go on stage while I'm running the show. Yeah, so shout out to him, and he brought a pile of stickers to the Hex meetup that Richard had, and so Richard, of course, took a couple Hex stickers and slapped them on his Ferrari, and you can see that actually in the Highest of Stakes movie that just came out, the Hex documentary that's on Apple TV, started just about 48 hours ago. You can watch that. Good stuff.
I watched it. I watched it at midnight. Well, maybe like 10 minutes past midnight. I saw it on Twitter. Somebody posted. I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch it right now. I really enjoyed it.
Jeff, was that the first time you watched it?
Yes. Yeah, that was the first time.
I was lucky. Yeah. I live in Miami, so I was able to watch, the premiere. My girlfriend doesn't really. The only thing she knows about crypto is what I've taught her and what I've explained to her. And she did say the first time I ever explained to her what crypto is, in my opinion, she was like, that's the most clear and concise way anyone's ever explained crypto to me, to a point where I actually somewhat understand it. Anyway, we went to Miami, met up with Hakeem, met up with a lot of the people, and it was a great time. Just the community in Hex, the community in the Richard Heart ecosystem is just so vibrant, so exciting. Everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody wants to share their story. Everybody wants to help you out. And, this is what you're trying to do, Maddie. Time pays, right? Like, and everything that you're doing with the Hex meetup, it's just like the community is like nothing I've ever seen in other coins. And like you say, people are watching, people are excited, people are involved, because it's not just, hey, when can I sell this? It's like, no, I'm here for the long run, and I'm here for the community. And I believe in this. I believe in the experience. I believe in Richard Heart. I believe in these coins because the platforms work. There's no downtime. And, there's just a vibrant excitement. And I think that's what you've been kind of trying to talk about. And it really shows, Jeff. And when I was at the movie, and I was at the premiere, man, we stayed there for an hour after the show, just talking to everybody and different things. The guy brought a 6-year-old kid, and he knows so much about Hex already. And just like everybody walk of life is so different, and yet we all have something in common.
I feel like in the Hex community, the people are like that because, and I'm not ragging on other communities. I like a lot of other communities, but I used to be in the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Phantom, and a lot of other programs that are good, a lot of other blockchains. But now I'm 100% in that. That's all I'm in is the Richard ecosystem, because I feel like the people in that ecosystem, it really, really has staying power. It has that fortitude being built with a solid foundation. Especially, I've always had the thought process that Richard Heart's always a step ahead of the game. And a lot of people right now are all talking about the decentralization, having to click an extra button. Look, if clicking an extra button was going to hamper, if this was going to be what stopped crypto, then Bitcoin wouldn't have done the 6.9 or how many millions of X's it's done, because that's how it used to be run. That's how the way it was supposed to be run. Nowadays, when you buy Bitcoin, you're going through centralized exchanges and stuff like that. Richard's ahead of the game before what I believe, and we can get into governments and all that. We don't need to talk about that. But my point is, the reason I love the Richard Heart community is because it has the staying power, because people actually care. A lot of people aren't even in it just for the investment. They actually just love the community and being a part of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The community is incredible. And you can watch something like the Hex 2021 Rewind, Hex 2022 Rewind. And these are compilations that really show like the struggle that the community has gone through together in terms of, popular influencers lying about Hex, and then the community really getting formed. And the whole idea of the Hex conference is to cross promote. And that's the number one thing that was taught to me of how do you become a successful YouTuber in crypto, in Hex, is by cross promoting. And so that's what I did. I organized an event that makes everybody look good. And, I try to, lift everybody up in the way that they've lifted me up when I was first starting out. And so, yeah, it's really cool then to see, especially when Hex started, that is around the same time that, lots of shutdowns were happening. And so when we finally did get to start doing meetups, then you could tell the friendships that had been built just online. And now this person went from being a 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional. And it's like a really great celebration.
That's our entire group. I know I've met Brendan and I've met Will. And that's it. Luckily, Will has met a bunch of the other guys. But yeah, majority of us haven't met yet. Brendan and I, we were lucky enough to meet along with Will down in Miami. Brendan gave an awesome speech down at the Cardano Summit about inflation, and it was like instant brotherhood as soon as we met. You know what I'm saying? There was none of that awkwardness, anything like that. Like, we met in the airport bar. Like, we all flew in to Miami, even though Brendan lived there. He was, traveling for work and stuff like that. But we met in the airport bar, and we had a drink right there in the airport bar. We didn't wait and get no Uber or anything like that. It was like, no, we met up there, and then for 3 or 4 days, we had a good time down in Miami. So it was I know what you're talking about, man. It's awesome to be able to actually meet people in person and to really solidify the bonds and stuff like that you built through, a virtual platform. It's awesome.
And Josh and Will, I hope that I showed you guys Miami pretty well. I just want to throw it out. Anytime that anyone comes down to Miami, if it's for a Bitcoin conference, if it's for anything else, if it's for work, I'll do my best as a member of the community to show you the city and show you a good time.
Brendan's being humble. Will let him know. He pretty much Brendan pretty much owns Miami. Am I correct in saying that?
This is the absolute truth. Brendan is the king of Brendan is the king of the spot that we were at. I don't know what the area we'd call it, but it was nearby Brickell. It was super awesome. He was introducing us to everybody. He knows, just in the area of Miami, right? But he knows like every fucking bartender. He knows every hotel greeter. He knows every valet parking guy. He knew all the dudes at all these like highfalutin society, all these like bougie clubs and places we were going to. Brendan is the king of networking in Miami, so I can definitely vouch for him. If you go down to Miami, make sure you talk to Brendan.
That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
I like dive bars, but I like it all.
Exactly, dude. Dive bars are the best, and I kind of want to tap on something that you were saying there, Josh. Speaking about like the best part, in my opinion at least, the best part of these sort of things like these podcasts or this cryptocurrency community is the meeting people in real life. I've gone to the CMC meetup down in Vegas, and that's where I originally met Zenith and a whole bunch of other. I met Sloth down there. I met Charlie and Miguel for like the second time down there. Like I've met a ton of people, and I gotta say, like, the IRL stuff is like something that I'm very interested in the Hexagon community. That's something that I'm trying to work towards building. So it sounds like you're the man who knows the most about this sort of stuff. And then you got SJ and RG3 doing their like pulse tour, going all over the country, doing all that crazy stuff too. Yeah, so I'm gonna definitely be keeping an eye on your channel a little bit further, man. Seeing what I can do with these meetups, and because I bounce around the country. I'm an iron worker by trade, so I like build TV towers everywhere. Cool. So I'm constantly moving around. And this is definitely my favorite part of the community, is going around and meeting cool people, shaking babies and kissing hands, and all that fancy fun stuff.
Well, I mean, Will, you've also got that project you're working on though too.
Yeah, so basically I didn't I didn't know that you have I knew you had the conference thing, but I didn't know you did real life meetups. So what I started doing is I just basically made an Excel spreadsheet, and I was like, hey people, if you want to dox yourself to whatever willingness you're able, put in your communication stuff, whether it's your Telegram, your Instagram, your Twitter, whatever, throw in this other column, the section of the country that you live in, or the city if you want to be super specific. And then if you see other people, you can just fucking reach out and ask and stuff. So I have a question for you actually then, Maddie, is how do you organize the without, I guess, giving away your secret sauce or whatever, you know, because I suppose I'm your competition now. It's just I know basically nothing about this, right? But like, how do you organize meetups for hexagons? Like, do you use Telegram? Do you use like a website? Like what's your magic sauce?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I don't think we're really competing, you know, except in the fact that we both have the same goal, which is to bring people together. And look, the more
sure.
people who want to organize meetups, I will go to your meetup, and then I don't have to plan anything, and that's beautiful to me. But then, you know, then there's these people, and there's always some of them, and this isn't you, but people I've worked with in the past where they yeah, the guy who embezzled a bunch of money and put on Pulse Con. That's why we don't say Hex Con. We don't, you know, it's the Hex Conference, and it's plsconference.live, but we don't use Pulse Con because that was used by a scammer. So like, I felt like I had to step up sometimes and like keep doing in-person stuff. Now RG3 and SJ are examples of good people. You're an example of good people. I used to go to Bitcoin meetups like before Hex existed. Like, so meetups, yeah, are super cool. And the way that I organize mine it usually is through Eventbrite, because I want to have something where my bank is like, okay, cool, you got this money, and then, you know, I can turn around and spend the money that I collect if I'm, you know, charging like $100 for like a meetup ticket at, you know, we did like the Bitcoin conference and stuff. Then I can turn around and give people like a bunch of merch and like pay for different stuff that way. So like basically giving people their value back. But I've been to meetups that were free. I've been to meetups where, you know, the Hex conference in Vegas, that was like the most intense thing I've ever planned. It was, we broke even, but it was a $250,000 conference. And I only charged people $369 for a 4-day in like conference space event where lunch was included and merch. And so it's like, I pretty much lost money on that. And then a whale came in and like, you know, made me break even. So the in-person stuff is like, it's the best, and people you know, still talk about it and how amazing it was. And yeah, I've probably been to maybe like 10 or 15 crypto meetups, and probably hosted half of those.
Dude, that is awesome. I'm over here thinking about like, you know, meeting up at like the local fucking pizzeria or axe throwing bar or something. You're over here talking about like $250,000 shit. That's awesome, dude. I had no idea that stuff existed. I came into this ecosystem a smidge too late, it would seem, but man, we're only just starting. So this is kick ass, bro. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Keep up the good work, bringing people together. And the more different like ways that we have to do that, the better. And yeah, like all kinds of different styles of organizing, I think works really well. You know, as long as you're not like embezzling hundreds of thousands of dollars and like promising people things that you're not planning on doing, then you'll be good.
Hell yeah, bro.
No fire
That's all
festival.
I had on that.
No fire festival.
That's right.
Hey, Nate, Nate, I believe you had something that you wanted to pitch in. Go ahead, bud.
Oh yeah, it was actually, it's kind of going back to what Jeff was talking about as far as like clicking a few extra buttons, right? The thing that I tend to look at is, I mean, we do want to bring people in, people who are scared of clicking a couple extra buttons, you know, and able to get true DeFi. It is very important that yes, what Richard Hart is doing, I believe, is the correct course of action, right? I do believe that is correct, but I can't imagine, you know, my grandpa, you know, being like, oh, what's this Hex thing? Let me go download all this stuff and click it on the computer and make sure that everything's correct. I can't imagine him doing something like that. So that's why what I'm really looking at right now, that is making me really proud of the entire Hexakin Pulsakin ecosystem right now, is the amount of really good projects coming out. And a lot of these, like the PHUX, that one alone, you simply get in there, connect the wallet, bam, you can start switching, right? And I think these are going to be the face of what Hex and Pulse is going forward. And then if you really want to be as safe as possible and go true DeFi, that's where we're going to be running into, all the download links and all of that happening. So there's a lot of really good projects coming out. What's your takes on that?
I mean, there's something new that came out today, Hex Scout, and it sounds really badass. It puts you through I guess some sort of onboarding tool where you tell it your age, and that way it can tell you whether you want to make a 15-year stake or not. Like, that seems like pretty awesome. And I've thought of that type of thing before, but I wasn't able to make it. Somebody else did. That's badass. And it's somebody, I guess, who's been a whale in the community for a long time who made a Hex Scout. So normally it would be, I'd be recommending more caution, but it sounds like KDP said today she thinks it's the best Hex onboarding tool that has ever existed, and it just came out today. So yeah, and Hex Scout was working on that for like a year and a half. He said he was on Cabana's show today, Cabana Crypto, and so there's lots of cool stuff that's happening. I try to keep up with it all. Buck and the PH ecosystem, like, they're definitely delivering lots of great products that people like. And I mean, I could probably go on forever about all the stuff that's being built.
Yeah, quite literally. And that's actually that's an incredibly important piece about how the Hexican Pulsican communities actually are, right? Hex has been maybe a little bit artificially held down, right? But no matter what happens, we're always building our own products, and our own products have a tendency to, I would almost say, be better. It seems to me, at least, like these projects that when it's like, hey, we can't do something. Why? Because we don't like you. That's weird. Okay. And then we go and we build our own. And then what happens is, well, hey, we just have the better product. That's what I've been realizing about our community.
Oh yeah. I mean, just downloadable, like front ends and stuff. I mean, yeah. Where is that in the rest of crypto? They still haven't figured out how to get off centralized exchanges.
That is so 100% true.
And I mean, you don't need that many people to participate. Like, Hex only has probably 100,000 stakers. Like, that's nothing. So the more people who catch on over time, probably the more decentralized it'll get, the more it could have some good performance. We don't, for the past year or two, we haven't seen people doing lots of long stakes. That's opportunity for people who are coming in who understand, like, the long-term nature of the system and who are willing to take the risk. So there are certain things that we know Hex will do. We don't know what the USD price will do, but we know that when people time lock longer, they get paid more, and the price of the T share only goes up. So
time.
Yeah, if I had my way, I would have Richard speaking more about T-shirts. That's for sure.
I gotta say, guys,
right,
I'm looking at this hexscout.com thing. It is just freaking awesome. That's all. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
No.
Nice.
Any final comments before we transition?
Take it away.
Yeah, Will, can you send me that link real quick on Telegram?
All right, so January 6th to the 9th, make sure you guys are tuned in for the 4th annual Hex Conference. And if you guys check out all of Matty Allen's links, you guys will be able to find the Hex Conference 2024 information there. So make sure you guys tune in there to grab all that information.
There's gonna be 2 announcements in the next couple of weeks that should kind of blow you away. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I wish I could go into it now, but got to make sure everything's in line.
That makes sense. So follow him across social media. That way you guys don't miss that information. So before we transition, make sure you guys smash that like button, comment, subscribe. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell, and make sure you guys share the URL across all the social medias. Join that Telegram channel. All right, Matty. So you've done a lot of work in the cryptocurrency space. You've been streaming for a while now. You put together meetups and all that stuff, and it's easy to see folks transition in different lines of work into the crypto space. Brendan's got a background in economics. We got a couple guys that are small business owners that are really, really financially savvy and stuff like that. But what you don't see a lot of is mental health professionals moving into the space. I know that that's a passion of yours, and it's something that you pursued prior to getting into it, if I'm correct. I mean, I'm correct in saying that, correct?
Yeah. So I worked for 7 years as a neuroscientist studying people who were quitting smoking tobacco and cannabis. And then I worked as a therapist who specializes with people who have addiction for 7 years. I worked as a individual and group therapist, and I got really, really amazing results. We're helping people to quit all types of horrible addictions and substance use disorders.
Yeah, so if we go back and we had met the Matty Allen in high school, Matty Allen in college, what sort of interest did you have in it to steer you into that sort of career field? What's the background behind it?
I mean, I was always good at like business and dealing with people, but I always wanted to do something a little bit more altruistic when it comes to, helping people. And so I was always interested in why do people do what they do? And that led me down the psychology path, even very early in my life. And so when I got to college, then I got to work with one of the most brilliant scientists in the brainwave space who was trying to understand like people's mood and attention and different aspects of why people get addicted to things and different things with ADHD and impulsivity and depression and all kinds of stuff. And so I was really lucky to be able to, that's how I got like my conference background was in scientific conferences, going around the world to present and that sort of thing, and seeing how professional conferences are done. And then lots of the problem solving and computer skills that I got was from the neuroscience laboratory. But it was it was definitely being a therapist and watching people change their behavior. Especially, I specialized with people who were court ordered to treatment, and so they didn't want to quit using drugs, which is way different than somebody who like already wants to quit. And so I learned a lot about, I think, human nature and a lot of things that I think are assumed even by a lot of psychologists and economists and everything is complete bullshit. And the way that we prove things is by seeing if people can actually change, and then repeating that over and over again makes me believe in the things that I, the life hacks that I teach people, and the ways that I show people that they are able to change. The reason why I didn't stay as just a therapist is because it didn't scale. I wasn't allowed to go on YouTube and just teach people how to be the best version of themselves, because I had to worry about whether I was licensed in this state or that, and whether Medicaid was paying me or not. So the experience was invaluable, but that's where I got to the point where I realized in order to scale, I needed to lean back more into tech. And even though it seems like time pays me, is like something that's pretty crypto focused. I got something added, a third feature into there. That's always been my dream ever since I started crypto. I had one dream, was to give people the power to pay themselves to change their behavior, to have a positive behavior change. So a lot of people don't know that like psychology, it's known for talk therapy. So when you think of psychology and behavior change, you usually think of talk therapy. There's actually one thing that has a stronger effect size than talk therapy, and it's called contingency management. It's a different branch of psychology. And contingency management is where you pay people to change their behavior. And so there's lots of research that shows that people, whether they're quitting tobacco smoking or they're quitting drugs or they're exercising or losing weight or whatever it is, the goal that they have, when people get paid, it makes them more motivated and likely to succeed. So my theory was always, why couldn't we combine crypto, which is programmable money, and contingency management, which has the strongest effect size of anything in psychology, and it could scale better than talk therapy, and but nobody's ever done it before. So Time Pays Me is the first protocol where you can pay yourself to change your own behavior.
So when you say pay yourself to change your own behavior, what do you mean by that specifically? Is that just talking about like only locking up in a vault and then just waiting for it? Is that what you're talking about?
No. So I'll give you an example. So I went to a tech conference like a couple months ago in LA. It was like the ALLin podcast. It was like really awesome. Mr. Beast was there, and like all these billionaires and tech people from Apple, Google, and everything. It was a really good time. And but I kept telling people about Time Pays Me, and that's when I got the idea to pay myself to write the first chapter of a book that explains what Time Pays Me is. And so that's like, I'm in the process now of doing that. And so what I did I'm using contingency management to reward myself for writing a book chapter about contingency management, right? And so, but I could have specified any behavior that I wanted that's like has a clear, observable outcome. And so basically what it involves is you create a time lock, and you can put in any crypto. Like I used USDC. Somebody could use ETH or Pulse or Hex or anything that is compatible with Time Pays Me. And a behavior lock is different than a time lock. So a time lock can be a drip or a hard lock. A behavior lock has these special rules. When you set up the lock, you have to name it. And so that's the behavior change that you're looking for. So for me, it was write chapter 1. And then it generates a link that I can text to somebody, and then I can delete the text. So I don't have access to it anymore. Only they do. And that's my behavior validator. That's the person who checks my behavior. So once I write chapter 1, then I send it to the 4 people that I chose to be my behavior validators. And then one of them can see like, oh yeah, he wrote the first chapter. And then they send me the 6-digit code that unlocks my crypto that I locked. And so they don't have to know anything about crypto. And I'm using this as a way to onboard some people who work like really high up in Apple and SpaceX into crypto, because they get to see that it's more than just about making money. It's about making myself and following through with what I said and rewarding myself and using this new strategy of contingency management. So yeah, like it's really good stuff, but I got to find more ways to like, get the word out.
I kind of feel like that's the golden child of the Time Pays Me. Go ahead, Brandon. Sorry.
Yeah, Matt, I think this is something that really means a lot to me. I have a lot of people that are highly addicts in my family, and it's like you try everything, try to help them, And for me, like contingency management, just to kind of further what you're trying to say and tell me if I'm wrong on any of this, it's not just like paying you for bettering yourself, but it's like, every step of the way that you're going, like you're talking about, hey, I wrote chapter 1, but if I'm an addict, right? Like what are things that might pay me, right? It might be going to therapy sessions on a regular basis. It might be staying away from what I'm addicted to on a regular basis. Maybe it's, hey, I don't want to go to this area because I know that the people I'm going to hang out with are going to potentially draw me back into, the addiction that I have. And so each of those positive changes that you make, and not only that you make them one time, but each time that you make them, you might get a larger reward, or you might get something that betters you in a way financially, and therefore that reinforces everything that you are actually doing, which is the important thing to better yourself. Is that
yeah this is programmable money at its finest. You can program anything into time pays me, because what happens when you lie, you're right back to where you started. So there's no, like the game theory checks out on, like, if I'm using my own funds to change my behavior, even if I'm unsuccessful or if I cheat. Let's say my goal was to run a mile every day, and then the next day I break my leg, right? And I was using my Apple Watch to like prove to myself that I was going to do that. Well, maybe I want to break the rules of my time pays me, and I make a deal with my behavior validator, or I put the Apple Watch on my dog or something, right? Like, it's okay if you cheat, as long as you tried to make yourself better and then got closer to your goal. The time pays me kind of strikes the right balance between, being able to motivate yourself, but also having a backup system. And so, like, for example, I was like, saying, well, maybe my behavior validator is the guy who, like, the homeless guy outside of the 7-Eleven. And, like, let's say I gave him the 6-digit code, and he's supposed to make sure I don't buy any more cigarettes or something. And then maybe he gets a home 6 months later, right? We're all happy for him, but I can't find him anymore. After a year, your behavior lock can be unlocked with any 6-digit number. So, like, not just like the unique one. So basically there's a fail safe built in to time pays me, where if you haven't changed your behavior in a year, your money goes back to you, so you can try again or whatever.
So it's kind of that fail safe sounds similar to what you were talking about previously with the if I'm hacked scenario, right? Or if I die in 5 years, someone gets this in 6 years, right? So it sounds like you're building in a lot of these fail safes into multiple different parts of time pays me.
For sure. Yeah. We think that we've thought of everything when it comes to how to make this product something where, you can use it for time locking. You can use it for undoing a hack. Those kind of go together, because if you're going to hold on to your crypto for multiple years, you want to make sure that you have the best security possible. And then, what do people worry about next in crypto once they have their allocation and now they've just got to wait? Well, improve yourself, right? Why don't you use your savings to motivate yourself to do something that you didn't realize you could be motivated to do?
Question for you on that, on the other side, devil's advocate. So if you have this fail safe that's built in that, hey, I'm going to get my money back in a year anyway, what's the point of me caring about trying?
I mean, for me, I came up with better ideas for how time pays me could get adopted by billions of people. And now I've like noticed myself working way harder on like my personal health and professional activities to where, like maybe I'm not focusing on writing the book chapter at this second because I've got new ideas, but I'm also like being more productive in my daily life, which is more valuable to me anyway. So it's caused me to change how I like spend all my time, not just like spending my time on the goal that I thought I had that was so narrow. And like I want to have a bigger impact than that. So I think it's really unintuitive. And unless you've sent money to your future self in Hex and then like that worked out for the positive, which, you know, if you're new in the past couple of years, maybe you haven't seen that yet. The people who kind of who form that relationship with their future self have really reported that they have kind of a new approach to life, and that they so that's really interesting too, as I'm looking at crypto psychology and people improving their behavior.
That's really cool. I think that's super interesting and something that's very unique, and being able to sort of wrap psychology, bettering yourself, you know, a lot of things that we've talked on our channel, a lot of we've had multiple episodes on, hey, you know, money doesn't make you happy, but what can you do in multiple aspects of your life to better yourself so that you are mentally happy, that you are physically in a good place, and that financially, sure, that doesn't hurt either. But you can be very wealthy and be unhappy, right? So it needs to be a balance. You need to find a way to bring all these things together. And I think that what you're doing with Time Pays Me kind of really builds on what we've talked about a lot on our channel.
That's really cool. Yeah. And it's like, you know, Time Pays Me doesn't know what's best for you. We're not some like communist, like centralized thing that's saying, oh, you know, your insurance says that you need to not smoke. So like so we're going to pay you for that. And you don't have any say over it. Like it's, that's probably not the best way to like go about how. And here's another really interesting thing is like part of the background of the psychology of why I think that this is actually a mental health tool that could scale and help lots of people is all the background work that Safety and Moose did with like his book, The Bitcoin Standard. That pretty much lays out a really clear idea that when people were on a hard money standard, when people had certainty over the future economic policy, over inflation and everything, that people, like societies, operated differently. That people, when you give them a way to know that the harder they work and the more they save, the better future that they'll have, and that won't be stolen from them, people act right in society. People improve themselves naturally without like explicit instructions on how to do so. It's like people better themselves naturally and kind of subconsciously by having more security and certainty in their economic policy. And so that's why Bitcoin always really appealed to me, is like that idea of we know the future supply. And then, you know, of course, with Hex and with Time Pays Me now, it's trying to expand that tool and bring it more specifically into people's minds of making that connection between paying your future self and then acting like the world could be better tomorrow. Yeah, that you know, that goes together, I think.
So one of the Roundtable members wasn't able to make it tonight, Agent J, but he did hit a question in the chat even before the stream got started. So I'm going to put it on the screen for you real quick. So how has your background, your professional background in psychology, helped you and others navigate the nasty bear market that we just went through?
I mean, this is pretty much the longest bear market in crypto history. It looks like we're coming out of it now. And, you know, clinical psychology helps people to be aware of their emotions and to manage emotions. So without being aware of your emotions, you can't manage them. And all of these activities are done by the prefrontal cortex in your brain. So the prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain that does problem solving and self-care and organizing thoughts and actions. And so the same things that help people to improve the activity in their prefrontal cortex. That's the same things that help people in therapy. So, whether it's exercise, eating right, esteeming yourself, having 5 friends that you speak to, once every couple weeks, like there's a lot of things, avoiding substances that stop your brain from, reasoning and that sort of thing. There are lots of things that people can do to improve their health. And it's like a lot of people, I think, a lot of people blame themselves for their behaviors, even if they aren't aware of it. And so, kind of some branches of psychology, some behavioral branches say that it's your people, places, and things that influence you to be a certain way. It's not something inside of you that makes you an addict or makes you lazy. It's like the influences that you have, your environment, your social environment, your immediate environment. And so that's what I like to point people to when they're stomaching like severe volatility and FUD like in the market, is to bring you back to this idea of how can you be well and not spending all your time checking the price. What are like the behaviors that you can do to take care of yourself physically and mentally and socially.
And the important thing about that too, that you mentioned, is that's kind of like what we sort of built up here, right, with our own community. We just recently had our own guy kind of go through a thing, and he literally just posted on a chat like, hey, I don't want to like bring the mood down, and then went through the issue that he was having. And the first reaction that we all had was like, hey man, what is it? Like, what can we do to help you? And he's currently going through it, and he's actually getting some success in solving the issue that popped up. And we were all there for him. And that really truly is what's important, get people around you that you can trust them to actually be able to help you, Jeff,
having mutual support is like one of the best things people can have. Another really practical thing that I have for people is to take omega 369. It's like a really easy thing to get. You can get it at a grocery store or a pharmacy. It's over the counter. Only if you are on like high blood pressure pills do you really need to check with your doctor, because omega-3 is supposed to be in a human's diet, but it really hasn't been ever since the population went to 8 billion. And so most people are not underweight, but they're malnourished. And omega-3 is something that you need to insulate the electrical wires in your brain, and especially in your prefrontal cortex. And so I saw for myself, I had a personality change for the better and got more motivated and improved myself once I started taking omega-3 for like 4 weeks. And then with probably a couple hundred therapy clients that I had, they tried it, and some of them didn't try it right away, but once they tried it, it was like I saw 2 guys go from being homeless to getting straight A's in community college, like in a 6-month period, and tons of other changes in people's emotional IQ and lots of other metrics. So if there's one thing that I could recommend to somebody that's something that you probably have control over, would be to like take omega-3 every day for 4 weeks, and see that this is something where it's like, it's not like you take a multivitamin and it's like theoretically I'm better. It's like I notice that my behavior is changing for the better because my prefrontal cortex is coming back online.
You know what's interesting is if you live here in America, we've had it pretty easy. There isn't too much real stress that goes on in the world. We have a very high standard of living. It's relatively simple to get a job, and we've been living in such a period of peace with the natural barriers and everything that we have compared to other places in the world that it's really easy for people not to experience stressful situations. And then you hop into something like the crypto market space where you have the volatility, the 50%, the 70% drops, the 80% drops. And that's 95%, when you can start 95%. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then that's when people, that's when a couple people start really truly feeling physical manifestations of stress, and they start feeling that anxiety, and they start feeling different things going on in life when, maybe they had a life that they really didn't have much stress in or something like that. And, so it's when I first started listening to you, I was like, how could a mental health professional segue into cryptocurrency and stuff like that? But then when I really started to critically think about it, I mean, it's a perfect segue because the vast majority of stresses that come around in the American household have to do with finances. And if you can find a way to plug that mental health side of things into, programmable money and, diving and keeping that information inside of an ecosystem and sharing it with people. I mean, it's incredible, and it's awesome to see. And I think it's a perfect transition for you, man. It's awesome.
You nailed it, because that's what I noticed immediately was that that money touches everybody's life. And so if we can program mental health into money and make it something that's like even just subconsciously better for you, that's ideal. Where and I would love for my book chapter, once I figure out which direction to go, I would love for it to get noticed by the executives at Apple, and then they just build it into the iPhone, and boom, there's 1 billion users. And it's like, people don't have, another idea. This is kind of like, since I went to the tech conference, I realized selling people on crypto is really hard, and most people have a bad experience with crypto. And maybe there's some things we can do to fix that, but maybe Time Pays Me should be more focused on other things that people find rewarding, where they don't have to get onboarded into crypto. Maybe instead of rewarding yourself with money to improve your behavior, maybe you could get rewarded with spending more time on social media, or spending more time playing games on your phone. Like people already have a currency called dopamine, and it flows through your phone already. And there's already billions of users of smartphones and dopamine. And like, if Time Pays Me, if you could pay yourself with more than just money, then maybe eventually people would build it into their money. But so you could see like where the more like it becomes real, and the more I find the product market fit, the more I'm thinking about what are the ways that we could not have like product, not have feature creep where we're just making millions of versions for nothing, but to try to get like the version that is going to hit with the most people without even actually having to necessarily like have everybody buy into it, because I can use the parental controls on my phone without like having like understanding the philosophy of crypto. And so if we can make it easier for people to use delaying gratification, then maybe it'll translate into more people wanting to use crypto.
Yeah, and the entire idea is using the euphoria of the crypto gains, basically, to reward yourself for better behaviors. That's a really good idea, man. I really like it.
Yeah, yeah, and that is one way to do it, and another way is to use stable coins too, because they have this property where they're probably worth a little bit less in a year in buying power than they were today, but they also don't give you big swings in your motivation. So I think stablecoins is one kind of like really important piece of the behavior change stuff. But hey, I could throw 2 Ethereum on top of the USDC that I locked to write my book chapter and increase my motivation without wrecking it. So I think we're going to learn a lot from this V1, and from people like you guys asking the right questions and just figuring out how this is going to scale.
So, Maddie, we're getting close to finishing up here. I want to ask you one last thing, probably a pretty short question, but obviously time pays me, Hex conference, the book that you're writing, trying to get people involved in psychology, in bettering themselves, in contingency management. You're working on a lot, but do you have any other projects that you want to share that you're working on in the future? Or are you putting all of your time into sort of what you've already talked about?
I would say the one thing I haven't talked about that I put a considerable amount of effort into these days is AI. Chat GPT has really let me down in the past 3 days compared to the previous month because it got overused. And the usage limits made it way dumber. And there might be going on with people giving the model negative feedback, learniness, which is we still have to see if that's true or not. But that's what some AI experts are saying. It's learned laziness by getting negative feedback, which is super interesting. But I try not to get so much sucked in anymore to the drama of Sam Altman et al., even though it sounds pretty cool that Microsoft almost pulled off the biggest heist in world history. But just all the tools that are available to us now, it seems important if we want to get the right messages out into the world. These AI companies, they're taking risks, giving us a chat GPT for $20 a month. They can search the internet and can learn things and tell me. And I predict that there will be outages of this kind of stuff and it'll get more expensive really quickly. And so people who learn about it and, have the right message, I guess, to share, which I don't know what the right message is, but if good people with good values and morals aren't using this stuff, then that's not as good, probably. And so I try to put in the effort, even though sometimes it's frustrating. It's sometimes I get really good results with lots of different tools that I've been exploring. So I try to not distract myself too much, but to try to build in a little bit of time every day to explore the world of AI.
So that's like a whole show. I feel like what you just started right there could be a whole show, and maybe in the future that's something we could talk about again. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to throw it back to Josh. I really love that comment. And I was having a conversation last night. I was out to dinner with a client, and one of my general managers, and she's older. She's in her 50s, but she's very immersed in her job, in design and culture. And she said one of the things that she's learned to make her life easy is chat GPT. But the thing that I said is similar to what you said, is at what point is it going to become something that we don't want it to be? And where's that line of, hey, it's open source versus, someone controls it, affects the algorithm a little bit. And that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. And we don't have the time to get into it, but I think it's so fascinating. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Oh, for
Go
sure.
back to Josh.
All right. Great content, great episode. We're going to go ahead and transition to wrapping up. Maddie, can you, share a little bit about where folks can find you on social media and, tell them about the shows that you put on. Give them a little bit of information on that.
Every Tuesday night at 7:30 Central is Game Theory Gang. And so we always have a guest on, and that's on my YouTube channel. Everywhere I am MATI, Maddie, ALLin, ALLin. And you can also find me on Twitter. I do a show on Thursday nights called Hex Therapy Live. And so those are the two places where you're going to find all my content.
It's awesome, man. Awesome. If you just could just hang out in the green room once we finish. But Nate, I want to throw it over to you, man. Where can folks find you? And tell them what you got coming around the corner.
Well, as of right now, I got my own personal show where there's going to be a lot of crypto related things involved, but it more so has to do with, like, say, macro or maybe even like science related events and things happening that crypto may be included with. But it's more than just that. It's kind of just an overall talk show. I'm going to be starting that up here. It's probably going to be it's probably next week. I got my first show, the Coronal Mass Extinction event. That is more than likely going to be happening. And it's going to be the end of crypto, the death of crypto. So sorry guys, it's all going to zero. But yeah, so that's going to be happening. So tune in to kind of find out exactly what's going on with that. But other than that, just continuing to work hard, DCAing, and we got some interesting things coming up. So what's going on, Jeff?
Sorry, I had to try to find the mute button. What's going on? I think we're about to go full throttle with the little mock portfolio we were working on. We were trying to figure out how many coins we're going to put on it. I was thinking maybe around 10 coins. Maybe I'd pick out 9 of them and have the 10th one. We'd go into Telegram chat and let the community vote on it. I think that'd be interesting, because I'd be able to keep track of the 9 I'm really interested in, and I think people would like. And you get input from other people. Besides that, just, work, mental health, like Maddie says, and crypto, and being involved in the community. That's about it.
Awesome. Will, what you got, bud?
I am still hanging out in Texas for the near foreseeable future. So if you are like some of the other folks in the chat, feel free to reach out to me on any of my socials down below. If you guys want to be a part of this little Hexagon community that I'm building, which is one Excel spreadsheet big so far, you can go to bit.ly/hex_meetup_template and put in however much information that you like. Be aware that this document is free to edit for everyone. So anyone can go in there and see your data, edit their own data, do all sorts of things. So I ask, please be kind if you're going to put your information in there. At some point, I'm going to upgrade it into a bigger, better system, whether I hire a web developer to build me a website or if I switch over to Telegram rooms, yet to be determined, but that's what I got going on now. Other than that, if you want to hang out with me personally in Texas, I guess I'm already going down to Waco to hang out with Ramon here, and then I'm gonna head down to Austin and hang out with some other developer buddy friends that I have down there that I met, some fellow Hexicans, super cool guys. And that is what I've got going on. Brendan, how about you, bro?
What up? It's been a while since I've been able to hop on a stream, and unfortunately, I'll be away the next few weeks, heading to Ireland for a couple weeks of a trip with the young lady of mine, and that'll be fun. Maybe I'll hop on stream from a pub. I don't know. Maybe I'll hop in as a guest. We'll see. Mm-hmm. But on top of that, just continuing to try to better myself, trying to put together some more presentations for future conferences, and really just trying to educate people on the truth about what's happening with our country and in our world. And everyone needs to be self-sufficient, self-sovereign. Everyone needs to do your own research, not just in crypto but in life. Literally, you have to just find truth and understand what's gonna make you a better person and better your life. So that stuff's really good. we're working on that. I know Josh and I got some other stuff in the works as well, yet to be announced yet. But just really thankful for the community, thankful for everyone who watched the stream tonight, and Maddie ALLin. So thankful for you to join us as well, man. Thank you. Been a pleasure. Honestly, some really unique topics that really hit home for me. So appreciate it.
Likewise.
And
yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. It's been great.
Dude, this is a fantastic stream. I'm definitely going to be watching the replay myself. One more thing before I turn it over to you, Josh, or to Maddie, whoever's doing the closeout sequence, is next week next week, excuse me, 2 weeks from now on the 13th, I will be interviewing the author of this book, Securing Wallets, and joining me on that podcast should be Zenith and Josh. So set your calendars. We're going to be interviewing Stephen L. Bates on the book Securing Wallets. He's a good friend of mine. I met him up here in Texas, and went and saw him at some live networking events. So he's a really cool guy, knows a lot about cryptocurrency. He's been in the cybersecurity space for 20 years. So really looking forward to meet him. We're going to be ironing out the details tomorrow for the stream. But yeah, we've got a locked in date, the December 13th. So write it down in your calendars, and we look forward to seeing you guys there. Josh, why don't you go ahead and give us our last words and stuff?
I will, but first, hey boys, I think this is the first episode where we didn't have a hotkey mistake. I think that's the case.
Well, maybe not for you. I think Jeff might have had one small little hotkey mistake, but you did great, Josh.
He didn't have a hotkey mistake because he didn't have hotkeys.
Yeah, that's true. He just had trouble finding that mute button. But yeah, so I'm Josh. You guys can find me on Twitter at Chocolate Taints. I'm there on Twitter. I'm there on Instagram as well. That's where you guys can find me. Yeah, we got a load of stuff coming around the corner. We are booked out when it comes to special guests through 2023. We got Crypto Steve coming up in 2 weeks, like Will said. Then we're going to have Will's mom, the author of an IRS tax book. We're going to have her coming up at the end of December. And then I shot a message to Axis to see if he could do a massive TA crypto stream with Jay and a couple other folks. I have some DMs out to see if we can get a really big TA stream coming for the beginning of the year, talking about expectations for 2024 and doing a 2023 recap. Aside from that, just our regular show every Sunday night at 8:00 p.m. When we're not doing special guests, we have our Whiskey Wednesday stream. I will be out for the next week. I'm taking my daughter down to Disney. We're leaving on Saturday. So I will not be on stream Sunday. I will not be there Wednesday, and I'm not sure if I will be there the following Sunday or not. But either way, we got a big team meeting coming up as well. So this is all I'm going to say, guys. Make sure you guys are liked, subscribed, and hit that notification bell on the channel. But the biggest thing is make sure you guys are in the Telegram now, okay? Take advantage of the opportunity. Hop into the Telegram right now. Join the community, and that's all I'm going to say for the time being. So with that,
free. You can join for free. Free to
that's
join.
Right. Yep, it's free to join. So you guys find the link down in the description. You guys can find all the panel social medias as well as all the official DGen Roundtable social medias as well. So all the folks that stuck around, hung out with us tonight, watched it live, we appreciate it so much. Thank you guys for always tuning in. It's awesome. If you guys are catching us on the replay, make sure you hit that notification bell. We will be back here on Sunday night at 8:00 p.m. So make sure you catch that show live. Maddie, again, bro, thank you so much, man, for your time. Awesome episode. And yeah, man, great content. I think it was awesome. Great conversation. And like I said, if you could just hang out in the green room for a little bit, that we could chat.
Sure thing. Appreciate you
chat.
Guys. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Man. All right. So with that being said,
hey, Josh, one last thing. It was actually a little bit just breaking, but with LL coming out and then Earn coming out, sometime pretty soon, we may or may not be doing a stream with some certain people talking about these protocols and the cool things going on with them. So looking forward to that as well.
And be the first one to get that information by joining the Telegram channel. That's what you can do. And follow all the social medias. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching live. We had a lot of fun tonight. We will catch you 8:00 on Sunday night. And with that being said, stay DGen.